Capital FM, it's Mel from The Morning Show. I'm here to recap the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from this week's Hollywood Intel with Mel. I'm going to start with the good. My first good story is about Justin Bieber. So Justin released his new album, Purpose, this week. He also announced his world tour. It's kind of cool because he's not going to be, super far away. The closest that he gets is Montreal, but that's just a road trip away. So what I like about the stories this week are that we saw a different side of him. He admitted that he can suffer from depression and that sometimes he can feel really isolated even though he's always got people around him. He also talked about how he's looking for a new place to live. He doesn't really have anywhere to live right now, but that he knows that he needs to be in a place that's not near tons of neighbors or not in a residential street, because he plays his music loud and he knows, and he's not going to change that. But why I consider this to be good is because it's nice to see him thinking responsibly. It's nice to hear stories about him being relatable and being reflective instead of hearing stories about him throwing eggs at his neighbor's house or pushing over a chair. That was last week's news. Anyway, I'm totally Team Biebs, as you know, and it's also important to remember that he's only 21. Dude's got a lot of growing up to do, but it's nice to hear stories that sound like he's starting to do it. Also, my next good story from this week, Britney Spears. Britney just randomly showed up to a Vegas dance class for kids from 8 to 18. Her people contacted the studio saying that Britney wanted to get back to her dance roots. I think she totally did that, and she also, definitely inspired some kids, gave them the opportunity of a lifetime, made their year. No, made their life. So that was the good, now it's the bad. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani. I think I feel the way about Blake and Gwen that most people feel about the Kardashians. So the big story this week is that Blake and Gwen are having a baby. I'm not sure why this one started. My only assumption is that Gwen had a burger and she was photographed and someone was like, oh, she's got a baby. Why does every woman in Hollywood get accused of having a baby when she's had a delicious hamburger in her belly? And why don't I have a delicious hamburger in my belly? That's the bigger question, but I digress. The only credit that I will give to this story is that they haven't denied it yet. They've joked about it. And the last time that they were so coy was when people were doing this about them dating. And that one turned out to be true. That was the bad. Now I've got the downright ugly. The ugliest story in my Hollywood Intel this week, Amber Rose. In her new book, she basically says that it's okay for women to use men for money. And it's not really using because it's doing what you need to do by any means possible to be successful. And then when people called her out on it, because of course they're going to, she was like, you guys are corny. Why can't you rely on your significant other for money? That's not the same thing. Having a person that you depend on, that is your significant other, that you've built a relationship of trust, that is not the same thing as using a man for money. What bothers me about this one is that Amber Rose has also been a huge advocate for women. She did the LA Slut Walk. But when the foundation that you are standing on for women is that women need to use their bodies to be successful, it's going to crumble under you. There are a lot of women in Hollywood that are advocating for women right now, that are advocating for women financially as well. And so what you're saying doesn't sound empowering. It sounds almost archaic. So that's why that one's ugly. Now my favorite story of the week obviously has to do with Taylor Swift. Because I love her. Taylor Swift is being sued by this guy Jesse because he said that she stole lyrics from him for her song Shake It Off. The case was dismissed in the best way ever. The U.S. Magistrate Judge Gail J. Standish, she said he could never, ever, ever get the case back in court, and the defendants have shaken off the lawsuit. Basically, she dismissed the case with Taylor Swift lyrics. The guy plans to refile, but good luck finding someone who is not on Taylor Swift's squad. I'm not on Taylor Swift's squad, but that's just because she hasn't met me yet. That was the good, the bad, the ugly, and my favorite story from this week's Hollywood Intel with Mel. Thanks for listening, and I hope this wasn't too weird, because I'm going to do it next Friday. Whether you like it or not. No, I'm just joking. I mean, I won't do it if you hate it, but please don't hate it.